The massive Imperial warship emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, its dark metal hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Behind it, hundreds more ships appeared, forming a fleet that stretched across space like a metal wall. Admiral Marcus of the Galactic Empire stood on his command bridge, looking at the tiny blue planet on his view screen with contempt. "Such a primitive world," he muttered, adjusting his pristine uniform. "They don't even have proper space colonies yet." His second-in-command, Captain Tom, approached with a datapad. "Sir, our scans show they've only reached their moon and have a few bases on Mars. Their technology is centuries behind ours." "Perfect. Send the warning message. Let's see how quickly they surrender," Marcus ordered, a small smile playing on his lips. The Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, and Earth would be just another trophy in their collection. Down on Earth, in the United Nations Emergency Council chamber, military leaders from around the world watched as the alien transmission played on the main screen. The message was clear and threatening. "People of Earth, this is Admiral Marcus of the Galactic Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our domain. Surrender within 30 Earth days, or face complete annihilation. Resistance is futile. We have conquered species far more advanced than yours." General Robert Thompson, head of Earth's newly formed United Defense Force, stood up from his chair. Unlike his colleagues, who showed signs of fear, his face remained calm and analytical. "Play that message again," he ordered, pulling out a notepad. As the transmission repeated, he started making notes. Something about the Empire's ships and their positioning caught his attention. "Look at their formation," he pointed out to the others. "They're arranged in a perfect, predictable pattern. Their entire strategy screams of rigid military doctrine." Dr. Lisa Miller, Earth's leading expert in military strategy, nodded in agreement. "They're overconfident. Look at how they position their fleet. They're expecting us to either surrender or attack head-on. They're not prepared for anything unconventional." As the Emergency Council debated their options, scientists and military analysts worldwide began studying every frame of the transmission. They discovered that despite the Empire's advanced technology, their ships showed signs of inefficiency, massive power signatures that suggested poor energy management, predictable shield configurations, and vulnerable command structures. "Their entire civilization seems built on overwhelming force," Dr. Miller explained to the Council. "They'd probably never faced an enemy that forced them to adapt or think creatively." General Thompson stood at the main display, pointing out key details. "Their ships are huge, but that makes them less maneuverable. They rely on size and power, not skill or strategy. We might be technologically behind, but we have something they don't. Centuries of fighting against ourselves has taught us to be innovative." The council chamber buzzed with activity as more analyses came in. Human military history was full of examples where technologically inferior forces had defeated stronger enemies through guerrilla tactics, unconventional strategies, and sheer determination. "They expect us to cower in fear," Thompson addressed the council. "Instead, we'll use these 30 days to prepare. Every weakness we find is an opportunity. Every hour they give us is time to plan their defeat." The council voted unanimously. Earth would not surrender. Instead, they would show the Empire why humans were different from every other species they'd encountered. As the first day ended, military bases worldwide began mobilizing. Scientists started adapting existing weapons for space warfare, engineers began retrofitting satellites with defensive capabilities, and strategy teams worked on plans that would surprise the Empire. Up in his flagship, Admiral Marcus watched Earth with growing impatience. "Such a primitive species," he said to Captain Tom. "They'll surrender soon enough. They always do." But he was wrong. Down on Earth, humanity was preparing to teach the Empire a lesson they'd never forget. The warning meant to frighten Earth had instead given humans exactly what they needed: time to prepare and motivation to fight. In military bases across the planet, soldiers trained for space combat, while engineers worked day and night. The Empire had made a crucial mistake. They had threatened humanity's home, and humans had never responded well to threats. The clock was ticking, but with each passing hour, Earth grew stronger, more prepared, and more determined to show the Empire why threatening humanity was the biggest mistake they'd ever made. 25 days remained until the Empire's deadline, and Earth had transformed into a global war machine. For the first time in human history, all nations worked together with a single purpose: survival. Inside the underground command center in Colorado, General Thompson watched as screens displayed worldwide preparation efforts. Military bases had become round-the-clock factories, converting regular weapons into space-worthy arsenal. "Show me the fighter modifications," he ordered, and a hologram appeared showing Earth's jets being fitted with experimental shield technology reversed engineered from old crashed alien ships. "The shields aren't perfect," explained engineer Bill White, pointing at the design, "but they'll give our pilots a fighting chance. We've also modified the weapons systems to work in space." Across the room, Dr. Miller was leading a team analyzing Empire battle footage collected by Earth's deep space telescopes. The aliens had been careless, conducting military exercises within view of human instruments. "Look at this," she called out, freezing a frame. "Their ships always turn in wide, predictable arcs. Their entire fleet moves like they're following a rulebook. No creativity, no adaptation." In orbit, construction crews worked tirelessly, converting space stations into makeshift fortresses. Solar panels were replaced with armor plating, and communication arrays were transformed into weapon platforms. Down in the Australian outback, test pilots pushed the modified fighters to their limits. The planes now carried special engines that could work both in atmosphere and space, thanks to a breakthrough in propulsion technology. "It's not pretty," said test pilot Mark Rogers, patting his modified F-35, "but it'll dance circles around those Empire ships. They build their vessels like floating cities. We're building space fighters." In secret underwater bases, submarines were being retrofitted with space-capable engines. The Empire would never expect attack vessels to emerge from the ocean and head straight into space. "They think we're primitive," Admiral Johnson said, watching the modification work. "Let's show them how primitive humans can turn the ocean itself into a launch base." The biggest surprise waited in the Nevada desert. Hidden underground bunkers housed thousands of small, unmanned drones being upgraded with basic shield technology and explosive payloads. "The Empire expects warships," Engineer White explained to General Thompson during an inspection. "They won't be looking for swarms of tiny attackers. Each drone is expendable, but their sheer number will overwhelm enemy defenses." 17 days before the deadline, Earth conducted its first full-scale space combat drill. Modified fighters practiced maneuvers around the moon, while submarine spacecraft tested their transition from sea to space. "We're not ready," General Thompson admitted during a council meeting. "But we're getting better every hour. The Empire gave us time, thinking we'd use it to accept defeat. Instead, we're using it to prepare their worst nightmare." In orbit around Mars, automated construction units built hidden repair stations and ammunition depots. The Red Planet would serve as humanity's fallback position if Earth's defense failed. "Always have a backup plan," Thompson had insisted. "And then have a backup for your backup." 10 days before the deadline, the first true test came. A small Empire scout ship entered the solar system. Instead of attacking, Earth forces stayed hidden, letting their enemies see only what they expected: a primitive planet with basic space capabilities. "Let them underestimate us," Dr. Miller advised. "Surprise will be our greatest weapon." The global communication network had been transformed into a military command system, protected by layers of encryption and redundancy. If the Empire destroyed one command center, 10 more would take its place. 5 days remained when General Thompson addressed the world's military forces. "The Empire expects us to be easy prey. They expect us to fight like they do, with giant ships and predictable tactics. But we're going to show them something they've never seen. We're going to show them how humans fight when we're protecting our home." The final days were spent drilling and rehearsing. Every soldier, pilot, and crew member knew their role. Humanity had taken everything they had. Every weapon, every strategy, every lesson learned from countless wars, and prepared it for space combat. As the deadline approached, Earth appeared quiet and peaceful from space. But beneath that calm exterior, humanity waited like a coiled spring, ready to show the Empire why they should have never threatened Earth. The Empire had warned Earth to surrender. Instead, they had given humanity exactly what it needed: a reason to unite, time to prepare, and motivation to fight. The galaxy was about to learn why humans were different from every other species the Empire had encountered. The Empire's deadline expired at dawn, Universal Earth time. Admiral Marcus's massive fleet moved forward, their huge ships forming an attack pattern they had used to conquer 1,000 worlds. "Begin the standard conquest formation," Marcus commanded, his voice bored. "Prepare to fire warning shots at their major cities." But as the Empire fleet crossed Mars' orbit, they found nothing but empty space. Earth's defenders seemed to have vanished. Even the primitive satellites they had observed earlier were gone. "Sir," Captain Tom reported, frowning at his scanner, "we're detecting some movement from Earth's oceans." Before Marcus could respond, the surface of Earth's oceans broke. Hundreds of converted submarines burst from the waves, their new engines igniting as they shot straight into space. The Empire fleet's sensors, calibrated to detect large ships, had completely missed these smaller vessels hiding underwater. "What kind of primitive strategy is this?" Marcus laughed. "Single-pilot vessels against our capital ships." The submarines, now functioning as space torpedoes, accelerated toward the Empire's fleet. The Empire's gunners, trained to hit large targets, struggled to track the small, fast-moving vessels. Then came Phase 2. From behind Mars, Earth's modified fighters emerged. While the submarines attacked from below, the fighters struck from behind. Their smaller size and superior maneuverability made them nearly impossible for the Empire's targeting systems to lock onto. "Impossible," Marcus shouted as the first Empire ship exploded. The submarines had targeted the weak spots in the Empire's shield configuration that Earth had discovered during their preparation. "Sir, we're detecting more launches from Earth," Captain Tom reported, his voice shaking. From the planet's surface, thousands of small drones rose into space. Each one was barely larger than a car, but they moved in perfect coordination. The drone swarm split into hundreds of smaller groups, each targeting a different Empire ship. The Empire's defensive systems, designed to stop large energy weapons, proved useless against thousands of tiny attackers. "Reform the fleet," Marcus ordered. "Concentrate our ships for maximum defensive coverage." But that was exactly what Earth had hoped for. As the Empire ships clustered together, General Thompson gave the order: "Launch the main attack." Hidden in the asteroid belt, Earth's converted space stations revealed themselves. They had been towed there during the preparation period, transformed into massive railguns. As the Empire fleet concentrated their ships, the railguns opened fire, launching specially designed projectiles at near-light speed. The Empire's shields, already strained by fighting the drones and submarines, couldn't handle this new attack. Ship after ship took devastating hits. "This is impossible," Marcus raged as his flagship shuddered under another impact. "They're primitives. They shouldn't be able to fight like this." But humans were fighting in ways the Empire had never seen. Fighters weaved between capital ships, targeting engines and weapon systems. Submarines turned spacecraft, launched precision strikes at shield generators. Drone swarms overwhelmed point defense systems. "Sir," Captain Tom reported, "we've lost 30% of the fleet. Our formation is breaking apart." The Empire's rigid battle doctrine fell apart in the face of Earth's multi-layered attack. Their ships couldn't target the small, fast-moving Earth vessels. Their shields couldn't adapt to attacks coming from multiple directions with different weapons. "Fall back," Marcus finally ordered. "Reform at the outer system." As the Empire fleet retreated, General Thompson allowed himself a small smile. The first battle had gone exactly as planned. Earth had shown the Empire that humans wouldn't be an easy conquest. In his flagship's medical bay, Admiral Marcus faced the first defeat of his career. "How?" he asked Captain Tom. "How did primitives defeat our advanced fleet?" "Sir," Tom replied, reviewing the battle data, "they didn't fight like any species we've encountered. They used their weakness, their small ships, as a strength. They turned everything they had into a weapon, even their oceans. They didn't follow any standard combat doctrine." The first battle was over. The Empire had lost a quarter of their fleet, while Earth's forces had lost only a small percentage of their drones and fighters. More importantly, humanity had proven something. Technological superiority wasn't everything. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were the most dangerous species they had ever encountered, not despite their primitive technology, but because of how they used it. After their stunning victory in the first battle, humanity wasted no time. The burning wreckage of Empire ships provided exactly what Earth needed: advanced technology to study and reverse engineer. "Look at this," Engineer White said, examining a recovered Empire engine core. "Their technology isn't actually that complex. They just never bothered to make it efficient. It's like they stopped innovating centuries ago." In the Colorado Command Center, General Thompson studied the captured Empire data cores. They're predictable. Every tactic, every formation, every response is from their standard military handbook. They haven't had to think creatively in generations. Earth's scientists worked around the clock, combining Empire technology with human ingenuity. Within weeks, they had adapted the alien shield systems to work with Earth's smaller ships. But instead of copying the Empire's designs, they improved them. "The Empire builds everything big because they can," Dr. Miller explained during a strategy meeting. "We're building everything small because we must, and that's our advantage." The recovered Empire ships revealed another crucial weakness. Their communication systems were standardized and easily intercepted. Earth's code breakers cracked their encryption in days. They never expected anyone to be able to understand their technology, let alone improve it, said communications expert John Reed. "Their arrogance is our opportunity." General Thompson proposed a bold plan. Instead of waiting for the Empire's next attack, Earth would strike first. The target, an Empire supply base just beyond Saturn's orbit, recently established to support their invasion fleet. "We hit them where they don't expect," Thompson explained. "Show them that Earth isn't just defending. We're fighting back." The attack force assembled near Mars. Modified fighters, now equipped with improved Empire shield technology, formed the main strike group. Behind them, the submarine spacecraft carried new weapons based on Empire designs, but miniaturized and more efficient. "Remember," Thompson addressed the pilots, "you're not just fighting for Earth now. You're showing the galaxy that humanity won't be conquered." The assault began at midnight Earth time. The Empire base, confident in their superior technology, had minimal defenses. They never expected their primitive enemies to strike so far from Earth. "Incoming ships," an Empire guard shouted. "But they're using our shield configurations." Impossible. Earth's fighters struck first. Their hybrid weapons, combining human and Empire technology, overwhelmed the base's defenses. The submarine spacecraft followed, targeting the base's power cores with precision strikes. "How are they using our technology?" the base commander demanded as alarms blared. "They're supposed to be primitives." But humans had done more than just copy Empire technology. They'd improved it. The captured shield designs had been modified to be more energy efficient. The weapons systems had been streamlined and enhanced. The Empire base fell in less than an hour. Earth forces captured vast stores of supplies, more technology, and most importantly, strategic data about Empire deployments throughout the galaxy. "Look at this," Dr. Miller said, examining the captured data. "The Empire's spread thin. They've got rebellions in a dozen systems, but they're trying to maintain the same rigid control everywhere. The victory had an unexpected effect. When news of the base's fall reached other Empire-controlled worlds, it sparked hope. If primitive Earth could defeat the Empire, maybe others could too. Back in the Colorado Command Center, General Thompson reviewed the battle footage. The Empire made a fundamental mistake, he observed. They thought technological superiority guaranteed victory. They forgot that warfare is about innovation, adaptation, and the will to fight. The captured base was quickly converted into Earth's first off-world military installation. Engineers installed human-modified versions of Empire technology, creating a fortress that combined the best of both worlds. "We're not just defending Earth anymore," Thompson told the Council. "We're taking the fight to them." The Empire thought they were starting a simple conquest. Instead, they've awakened something they don't understand: human determination. As Earth forces secured their new base, the Empire faced an uncomfortable reality. These primitives weren't just resisting. They were advancing, adapting, and turning the Empire's own technology against them. The galaxy watched in amazement as humanity did the impossible. They weren't just surviving against the Empire. They were winning. And this was just the beginning. The Empire's High Council gathered in their golden chamber, their faces showing fear for the first time in centuries. The latest reports from Earth sectors scrolled across their screens. Another fleet defeated, more bases lost, and worse, more systems inspired to rebel. "Send in the elite fleet," ordered High Commander Richard, his voice trembling. All of it. The elite fleet was the Empire's greatest weapon, a massive armada of their most advanced ships, kept in reserve for only the gravest threats. Now, they would all be committed to crushing one primitive world. On Earth, General Thompson received the warning from their deep space sensors. "They're coming with everything," he announced to the War Council. 5,000 capital ships, their best technology, their most experienced commanders. But humanity had been preparing for this. The past victories hadn't made them overconfident. They'd used each success to learn, adapt, and improve. "Let them come," Dr. Miller said, displaying their new defense plans. "The bigger their fleet, the harder they'll fall." Earth had transformed the space around Jupiter into a deadly trap. Modified asteroids now housed cloaked weapon platforms. The gas giant's powerful magnetic field concealed thousands of drone swarms. Every moon had been turned into a fortress. The elite fleet emerged from hyperspace, their golden ships filling the space between Mars and Jupiter. Their new commander, Grand Admiral Stone, stood proudly on his bridge. "No more games," Stone announced to his fleet. "Full power to all weapons. We'll destroy their entire system if we have to." But as the elite fleet advanced, they found their sophisticated sensors suddenly blind. Earth had learned to use Jupiter's radiation to create a massive interference field. The Empire ships, dependent on their advanced technology, were flying nearly blind. "Now," ordered General Thompson. The trap was sprung. From behind Jupiter's moons, Earth's fighters attacked. They were no longer the modified aircraft from the first battle. Now they were sophisticated hybrid vessels, combining human innovation with Empire technology. The elite fleet's formation broke apart as they tried to target the smaller Earth ships. Then the drone swarms struck, overwhelming their point defense systems with sheer numbers. "Impossible," Stone shouted as his flagship rocked with explosions. "Their technology. It's like ours, but different, more efficient." How? The answer was simple. Humans had done what the Empire thought impossible. They'd taken Empire technology and improved it, made it smaller, more efficient, more deadly. The battle around Jupiter became the largest space combat in known history. The elite fleet's golden ships exploded like artificial suns, their rigid tactics failing against Earth's fluid strategy. "They still don't understand," Dr. Miller observed from the command center. "They think technology alone wins wars. They forgot about innovation, adaptation, the human element." The Empire shipped shields, designed to stop energy weapons, proved vulnerable to physical kinetic strikes from railguns hidden in Jupiter's moons. Their sophisticated targeting systems couldn't track Earth's smaller, faster ships through the radiation interference. "All ships, calculate retreat coordinates," Grand Admiral Stone ordered, his voice shaking. But Earth forces had anticipated this too. Hidden ships emerged from Jupiter's cloud bands, cutting off their retreat path. The submarines, now advanced space torpedoes, struck from below the orbital plane. The elite fleet found itself surrounded, trapped in a three-dimensional killing field. "Surrender," General Thompson's message echoed across space. "Your Empire's doctrine of superiority ends here." The elite fleet's formation collapsed completely. Ships began surrendering in groups, their crews realizing that centuries of assumed superiority had led them to this defeat. In the Colorado Command Center, Thompson watched the Empire ships powering down one by one. "They sent their best," he said quietly, "and learned that humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our ability to adapt, to improve, to overcome." The battle for Jupiter became known across the galaxy as the moment everything changed. The Empire's elite fleet, their ultimate weapon, had been defeated by the very primitives they'd tried to conquer. As escape pods from surrendered Empire ships were collected, Dr. Miller summarized it perfectly. They thought size and power would guarantee victory. Instead, they learned why you should never corner a species that turned its own evolutionary weaknesses into strengths. The Empire had sent their best to crush humanity. Instead, they had only proven why humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. After the devastating defeat of their elite fleet, the Empire faced a crisis unlike any in its history. Humanity wasn't just defending anymore. Earth forces had begun pushing into Empire space, and everywhere they went, rebellion followed. General Thompson stood on the bridge of the Earth Force One, a captured and modified Empire flagship. The ship's gold trim had been replaced with simple gray, its inefficient systems upgraded with human innovations. "Status report on the Centauri sector," he ordered, watching as holographic maps showed Earth forces advancing through Empire territory. "6 more systems have declared independence," reported Captain Smith. "The Empire's control is collapsing faster than we can advance." News of Earth's victories had spread across the galaxy. Species that had lived under Empire control for centuries saw hope for the first time. Every world had watched recordings of how a primitive planet had defeated the elite fleet. The Empire made 2 mistakes. Dr. Miller explained to the War Council. "First, they threatened us. Second, they gave us time to prepare. Now they're making a 3rd mistake. They still won't adapt." Empire worlds fell one after another, not to conquest, but to revolution. Earth ships arrived to find local forces had already overthrown their imperial governors. The rigid Empire structure was crumbling in the face of widespread rebellion. "Another Empire fleet destroyed in the Orion sector," reported Communications Officer David. "They're still using the same tactics, still following their standard doctrine. They haven't learned anything." The Empire's capital world, Nova Prime, began preparing for invasion. They built massive defensive structures, shield generators, and weapon platforms, all following their ancient military doctrine. "Look at their preparations," Thompson said, studying the reconnaissance data. "Big, obvious targets. They still think size equals strength." Earth's attack on Nova Prime began differently than any Empire strategist could have predicted. Instead of a frontal assault, human forces targeted the Empire's supply lines. Small, fast ships raided their convoys. Hybrid fighters destroyed their fuel depots. "Cut off their supplies," Thompson had ordered. "Let them sit in their fortresses and watch their power drain away." The Empire's mighty defensive fleet around Nova Prime found itself running low on fuel and supplies. Their massive ships, designed for power rather than efficiency, began shutting down systems to conserve energy. "We could blast through their defenses," Captain Smith suggested, watching Nova Prime's shields weaken. "No," Thompson replied. "Let them see their own weakness. Let the galaxies see how their mighty empire falls not to superior firepower, but to superior strategy. On Nova Prime, the Empire's High Council faced the unthinkable. Their mighty civilization, built on technological superiority and rigid doctrine, was being defeated by the very primitives they had tried to conquer. How? High Commander Richard demanded, watching another defense platform power down. How did they turn our own technology against us? The answer came as Earth's fleet finally moved into position around Nova Prime. The ships were smaller than Empire vessels, but more efficient. Their weapons were less powerful, but more precise. Everything humanity had built showed the same pattern, taking Empire technology and improving it through innovation. Surrender. Thompson's message echoed across Nova Prime's communication channels. Your empire is finished, not because we're stronger, but because you never learned to adapt. The Empire's surrender was transmitted across the galaxy. Species that had lived under their rule for generations watched in amazement as the mighty Empire fell to what they had dismissed as primitives. In the aftermath, Thompson stood in the Empire's High Council chamber, now a symbol of humanity's victory. We didn't win because we were stronger, he told the assembled representatives from freed worlds. We won because we never stopped improving, never stopped innovating. The Empire's fall marked a new era in galactic history. Humanity had proven that technological superiority alone didn't guarantee victory. It was the ability to adapt, to improve, to think creatively that truly determined success. As Earth ships secured the last Empire strongholds, Dr. Miller summarized the lesson the galaxy had learned. The Empire spent centuries building bigger ships and stronger weapons. Humanity spent centuries learning to overcome superior forces through innovation and adaptation. In the end, that made all the difference. 1 year after the Empire's surrender, representatives from 100 formerly enslaved species gathered on Earth. The United Nations Chamber, once used for Earth's nations, now hosted delegates from across the galaxy. General Thompson, now serving as Earth's first galactic ambassador, stood at the podium looking at the diverse array of alien faces before him. Each species had its own story of empire oppression, and each had witnessed humanity's rise from primitive world to galactic power. We didn't seek this war, Thompson began. The Empire came to us, expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found something they'd never encountered, a species that refused to accept limitations. The changes across the galaxy were profound. Former Empire worlds had formed new alliances, learning from Earth's example. The rigid structures of imperial control had been replaced by flexible cooperation between species. Earth's greatest contribution wasn't defeating the Empire, Dr. Miller explained to a group of alien scientists. It was showing the galaxy a different way of thinking. We proved that innovation and adaptation are more powerful than any technology. The Empire's massive ships had been recycled or modified. Their inefficient technology had been improved through human innovation. But more importantly, their philosophy of superiority through power had been thoroughly discredited. Look at what humans have accomplished in 1 year, said Ambassador Green, a former Empire world's representative. They didn't conquer us like the Empire. They showed us how to improve ourselves. Earth's approach to galactic politics surprised many. Instead of establishing their own empire, they formed the Galactic Coalition, an alliance of equal partners. Each species contributed its unique strengths and perspectives. The Empire fell because they stopped learning, Thompson told the assembly. They thought they had reached perfection. We know better. There's always room for improvement, always something new to discover. In orbit above Earth, the old Empire shipyards had been transformed. Now they produced smaller, more efficient vessels. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, combining their knowledge to create something new. We're not just improving technology, Engineer White explained to a group of alien students. We're improving how we think about technology. Size isn't strength, efficiency, adaptability. These are true power. The former Empire worlds were learning this lesson well. Species that had been forced to copy empire designs now developed their own innovations. The galaxy was experiencing a renaissance of technological and cultural advancement. The empire taught everyone to think the same way, Dr. Miller observed during a council meeting. Now each species is finding its own path, its own strengths. That's the real victory. Trade routes once controlled by empire bureaucracy now flowed freely. Information and ideas spread across the galaxy. The rigid boundaries between species dissolved as they learned from each other. Humans showed us something remarkable, said a delegate from a distant world. They showed us that being primitive doesn't mean being weak. Sometimes the oldest lessons, adaptation, innovation, determination, are the most powerful. In the newly established Galactic Academy on Mars, students from 100 worlds studied together. They learned not just technology and science, but the human concepts of creative thinking and continuous improvement. The Empire thought they were teaching us a lesson, Thompson said in his closing speech to the assembly. Instead, they learned one themselves. Never underestimate a species that knows its weaknesses and turns them into strengths. The galaxy had changed forever. The Empire's warning to Earth, their demand for surrender, had backfired spectacularly. Instead of conquering a primitive world, they had awakened a force that transformed the galaxy. We're not building an empire, Thompson concluded. We're building something better. A galaxy where every species can grow, improve, and reach their full potential. As the assembly ended, the delegates looked out at Earth through the chamber's windows. The blue planet that the Empire had dismissed as primitive now stood as a symbol of something powerful. The idea that true strength comes not from superior technology or overwhelming force, but from the will to adapt, improve, and overcome. The Empire had warned Earth to surrender. Instead, humanity had shown the galaxy a new way forward, proving that sometimes the most powerful force in the universe is the determination to never stop growing, never stop learning, and never accept limitations.